Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What's up, everyone? Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NCAA edition, NCAA Week 7 picks episode. Joining as always on the other side of the world, Reese. Reese, what's going on?
What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I'm all right. So, quick show this week. Obviously recording on Thursday, so it's a little different. But it's a nice advantage for once with the lines we don't really normally get to have. So
yeah, an extra 2 days is nice.
Yeah. Try to get through this without coughing my head off, but we'll see what happens here. So last week, just to go through the top 25 results, number 1 Ohio State defeated Minnesota 42-3. Number 3 Miami beat Florida State 28-22, and that game was not that close, as the score shows. Our friends Kent State got beat by Oklahoma 44-0, which was a cover. I said I needed 6 from them to cover, and I didn't even need the 6. Thankfully, the 0 was enough. So, Kent State, we have one of the matchups of the probably
the
millennium.
Season?
Yeah. I'm going deeper than season. Matchup of the millennium this week. Going to be featured in our 6-pack. Texas A&M defeated Mississippi State 31-9. Penn State on the road losing to UCLA 37-42. Wow. Texas lost to Florida 21-29. Bama did defeat Vandy 30-14. Texas Tech defeated Houston 35-11. Georgia defeated Kentucky 35-14. Iowa State lost to Cincinnati. Turns out all those injuries were a lot for Iowa State. They just couldn't overcome the 2 corners being out. Plus, they lost both kickers, which was interesting. They couldn't even kick the ball. So a lot of things went wrong on a road trip to Cincinnati. Michigan beat Wisconsin 24-10. Notre Dame beat Boise State 28-7. Illinois beat Purdue 43-27. Virginia beat Louisville in overtime 30-27. That pretty much wraps up the top 25. There were a lot of teams that did not play last week. For our picks last week, both of us did hit our locks. I had Texas Tech and Reese had Bama. And then I hit the dog. Also, I had Florida beating Texas. And Reese, I like the optimism of Florida State beating Miami, but unfortunately it didn't happen.
Yeah,
anything for the top 25?
I mean, just a couple quick things. Obviously, the biggest story here, the 2 powerhouse preseason teams in Penn State and Texas are both sitting with 2 losses. They're likely going to need to run the table if they're going to have a chance to make the playoff picture. Jerry Neuheisel getting carried off the field of the UCLA win over Penn State. You sent me that photo. Looked very much like the Goonies carrying Sloth off the field. That was crazy. If James Franklin loses another game this season, I think he solidified himself as looking for a new job. Bama looks like the team you'd predicted to begin the season outside of Ohio State and Miami. They look like the team to beat. Ty Simpson's definitely moved himself into the Heisman conversation. And Big 12 race continues to be wide open, but look out for that Cincinnati team. Brendan Sorsby's no joke, and those Bearcats are looking good right now. So the Big 12 seems like every single year we just have this wide open race that goes all the way to the end. So great conference.
Yeah, conference is very good. And sorry, before we get into the picks for this week, next week I will try to go back since we're right at midway with most teams playing 6 games, some of them 7 even. I'll probably go through and do a little recap of our preseason predictions from next week and some of the future bets we gave out and stuff like that, see how all of that's going so far, and update on some conference championship standings and Heisman standings. But with that, we will go ahead and get into the Week 7 picks. We're going to kick it off tomorrow night, Friday night, as number 24 USF. It's going to go on the road to North Texas. North Texas is a 1.5-point favorite at DATCU Stadium in Denton, Texas. 66.5 over-under Friday at 7:30 on the Deuce. And this realistically could be a play-in game for the playoff. This is a very good chance that the winner of this game makes the playoffs.
Yeah, 66.5 is juicy. Ranked teams have not been faring well in these Friday night light games, so I'm not totally shocked that North Texas is coming in as a favorite. North Texas can do it too. They've been lighting up the scoreboard this season. They're averaging almost 45 a game. Mestamaker has been protecting the ball in the air. Potential challenge for the Mean Green, though, is that rush defense. They're giving up over 180 a clip. South Florida can tempo and the game by leaning into the run. So I am going to go with the Bulls here to get the outright W.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be a really good game. I know that was it Alex Golish, the head coach at USF, is probably getting a lot of coaching calls around this time with some of the schools that have opened. I think I'm going to go ahead and take North Texas minus the 1.5. I think they're going to get it done at home in this one. Number 1, Ohio State is a 14.5-point favorite as they go on the road to number 17, Illinois at Memorial Stadium in Champaign, Illinois. 49.5 over under Saturday at noon on Fox.
Yeah, Bielema's squad's righted the ship a bit after the big loss in Bloomington, but this isn't a great matchup for them. Julian Sands, 80% completion percentage. Jeremiah Smith's been finding the end zone. The Illini are giving up over 320 yards through the air against Power 4 opponents this year. Couple that with the Buckeyes, one of the top-ranked defenses. I don't think this is going to be much of a competitive matchup. I'm going to take Ohio State here to win and cover.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. It seems a little low. I don't know. Illinois is one of those teams, though, that does surprise me in games sometimes that I'm expecting them to lose. But I think Ohio State at this point is still just too good for this one. So I'm going to take them minus the 14.5. At the same time, number 8, Alabama is a 3.5-point favorite going on the road to number 14, Missouri at the other Memorial Stadium in Columbia, Missouri. 52.5 over under Saturday at noon on ABC.
Yeah, huge game here for a drink in the Tigers. I really wish they'd flex this into a night game because having this at noon is hot garbage. But Bama blanked a good Missouri team last year, 34-zip. They've been handling SEC games pretty easily as of late, winning by over 4 touchdowns on average. Tough matchup here for Bama with this Missouri offense leading the SEC in both completion percentage and rushing yards. But I think DeBoer and Grubb have things pretty fine-tuned with this Alabama team, especially with Jam Miller back in action. I'm going to go with Bama here minus the points.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be really good. Obviously, Bo is the kind of quarterback that can cause damage to Bama's defense. They typically struggle with the running quarterbacks. So I think that is something to watch for. I just think this is too low still, though. I think Bama should win this one probably around 7. Pitt is going on the road to number 25, Florida State. Florida State's 10.5-point favorite at Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee, Florida. 58.5 over under Saturday at noon on ESPN.
And Narduzzi has seemingly moved on from Holstein. He's sticking with Mason Heinzel. I think that's how you say his last name. After a pretty big game against BC last week, he finished 30-41 for 323 and 4 touchdowns. On the flip side, Noel's obviously looking to bounce back from a rough game against the Miami last week. Turned it on just a little too late. Noel's need to tighten up the turnovers. They're going to have to outwork the Panther defense that's leading the ACC in run defense, but I think Florida State's going to get it done here, so I'll take Chop minus the points.
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical on this, on the total. I think it's too high. I'm going to be on Pitt. Until I can see some more consistency without these ridiculous turnovers on Florida State's offense, I'm just not sure I can do 10.5. Florida State should realistically win this game still, but I think 10.5 is too much. Washington State is going on the road to number 4, Ole Miss. Ole Miss, 32.5-point favorite at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. 58.5 over under Saturday at 12:45 on the SEC network.
Washington State's coming off a road win against Colorado State, but they've struggled against teams that have a strong offense, as we've seen in their games against North Texas and Washington, where they gave up 59 each. Chambliss is averaging almost 16 yards of completion for the Rebels. He's putting up over 40 a clip at home, so I think Ole Miss is going to roll here. I'm going to take them and cover.
Yeah, it's so many points. Washington State, though, I think I talked about it a few weeks ago, how they've lost every good quarterback they've ever had since they lost the conference. They've been trash. It's tough to say 32.5, but I'm going to be on Ole Miss also. It just, I don't know. I wouldn't bet for real on that one. Number 7, Indiana is going on the road to number 3, Oregon. Oregon's a 7.5-point favorite at Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. 55.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on CBS.
Both teams coming off a bye makes this one a little interesting. We got a couple Heisman contenders going up to battle at Autzen. Unfortunately for the Hoosiers, though, Dan Lanning has not lost coming off a bye. As talented as the offense is, Oregon's defense is top 5 in the country. They're going with an 81.4% stop rate. Signetti also hasn't covered a spread as a road dog. He's 0-2. I think he's going 0-3 here. I'm going to go Ducks here to win and cover at home.
Yeah, I'm on Oregon also. I just think the situation's too much for IU to be going to Autzen. I don't think they're going to be able to handle that. I do know that Pons is back for IU, which I think is a big addition, but I'm still not sure that's going to be enough. And it's kind of been funny to watch. I've been waiting for Signetti to give Lanning kind of that speech that he gets every week where he uses for motivation, but Cignetti's kind of been smart. Like normally he runs his mouth. I haven't heard him run his mouth yet. So I think he knows what he's doing and trying to save his team from the ass beating, but I just think it's too much in that one. I like Oregon. We got a Red River shootout, number 6, Oklahoma versus Texas. Texas is a 1.5-point favorite at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. 43.5, such a low over-under. Saturday at 3:30 on ABC.
Yeah, the over-under here is a little surprising to me. 2 losses for the Longhorns heading into Red River after the 8-point loss against the Gators. The Sooners remain undefeated despite losing Mateer after a 44-point shutout against Kent State. It was a good first game for Hawkins, but the Texas defense is a hell of a lot different than Kent State is. All the same, I still think the Sooners come out victorious here. I'm going to take Oklahoma and the points to get the outright W.
Yeah, I know we still don't know if Mateer's playing. It seems like probably not, but there is a chance still he plays. But yeah, I'm not trusting this Texas team at all. They have shown me nothing. Arch is terrible. And going to Florida's not a tough place to play. I mean, I think we went over Napier's stats. He's not even he's barely over 500 at home in his career. It's a bad loss. I'm not on this Texas team at all. I think Sarkisian, I mean, that school spends a lot of money to not make the playoffs. So I think he might be a surprise culprit of a bad season. I think he might lose his job, to be honest, if this keeps going. But yeah, I like Oklahoma to win this outright also. Number 22, Iowa State is a 2.5-point favorite going on the road to Colorado at Folsom Field in Boulder. 51.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on ESPN.
Colorado's lost 3 of their last 4. They keep shooting themselves in the foot with turnovers, -8 in their last 4 games with no forced turnovers on their own in that stretch. Iowa State is looking to bounce back from their own loss on the road against a tough Cincy team. They're dealing with some injuries on the defensive side of the ball, especially, but I'm still going to take the Cyclones here to win and cover. I just don't trust this Colorado team.
Well, if Dion tried to shoot himself in the foot, hopefully he shot where there were some missing toes, so it didn't hit him. I like Iowa State in this one also. Dion had surgery this week. He was sitting on the sideline last week without a shoe on a stool. Things just seem to be going down and more down for a conference that's so good. That team has no hope. 2.5. I know Iowa State is missing a lot, like we just talked about earlier, but I don't think it matters against this team. I like Iowa State. Tech going on the road to number 13. Georgia Tech, 14.5-point favorite at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. 54.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on the ACC network.
Hokies hitting the road after a 7-point loss at the hands of Wake Forest last week. Yellow Jackets are returning from their bye. Hokie rush defense has looked better since Pry got the boot. Georgia Tech is 0-2 against the spread this year as a double-digit favorite. Add in that this kicks up just over 2 touchdowns to cover. Makes me a little bit nervous, but I'm still going to go Yellow Jackets here. Maybe a late field goal pushes it to 17 for them to cover.
Yeah, I like Georgia Tech too. I just think Haynes King is going to be too much for Virginia Tech at this point. They've got a lot to figure out at that school, though. Like I talked about, they did get a huge boost of money, so I think they're more focused on the future than they are the present. So I like Georgia Tech in this one. NC State is going on the road to number 16, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 22.5-point favorite at Notre Dame Stadium, Notre Dame, Indiana. 59.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on Peacock.
It still throws me off when it says Notre Dame, Indiana. Another salty spread for the Irish here. NC State started off hot. They've lost 2 of their last 3, but one of those against the struggling Virginia Tech squad. Notre Dame's bounced back with 3 straight wins after that 0-2 skid to start the year, and CJ Carr's been improving. Expect Notre Dame to lean on the run game here. NC State's given up over 200 rush yards twice this season. All that said, I think CJ Bailey and the Wolfpack can do enough here to cover, so I'm going to take NC State and all these points. I do expect the Irish to win, but I think NC State can cover this.
Yeah, I was the same way. I think it's too many points. Boise almost covered last week, and it was right around the exact same thing. I think NC State's a little better than Boise, too. Arkansas is going on the road to number 12, Tennessee. Tennessee's 12.5-point favorite at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. 68.5 over under Saturday at 4:15 on the SEC network.
Another juicy one here. Tough first game for Petrino being back at the Helmet Rocky Top. Vols could very well be undefeated right now. They're averaging over 40 a game. Joey Aguilar's been playing very well. This may end up in a shootout, but I don't think Tennessee's going to have a problem getting the cover here. So I'm going to take Rocky Top to win.
Yeah, I like Tennessee also. I've never been that big on Arkansas. We saw what Notre Dame did to them also. I think Tennessee's offense is going to roll right over them. Florida is going on the road to number 5, Texas A&M. Texas A&M 7.5-point favorite at Kyle Field in College Station, Texas. 47.5 over under Saturday at 7 on ESPN.
Gators coming off their big win over the Longhorns. Yell Eaters get their third straight home win after taking a big 22-point win over visiting Mississippi State last week. Gators and Lagway specifically have really struggled on the road, and now they head into a night game at the Kyle. That doesn't bode well for the boys from Gainesville, so I'm going to take A&M here to win and cover.
Yeah, Florida coming off the big win. I think it'll be a little bit of a letdown for them as they travel to Texas A&M. Texas A&M is really damn good. That team's rolling. I like them to win this by double digits. Kansas going on the road to number 9, Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a 14.5-point favorite at Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, Texas. 58.5 Saturday at 7:30 on Fox.
Yeah, Jayhawks continue their road trip after a 7-point win over a pretty good UCF team. Texas Tech's returning home still undefeated after easily handling a good Houston squad. This isn't a good matchup for the Jayhawks. They've given up almost 600 yards and 40 in their 2 losses against teams with solid offenses, and Tech is currently second in the nation in scoring. Texas Tech is also 5-0 against the spread this year. We're going to make it 6. I'm going to go Red Raiders here to win and cover.
I'm actually going to go the other way in this one. I love Texas Tech as a team. I think they win this game. I just think it's too many. I think they win by 10-13. So I do like Kansas to get the cover in this one. Number 10, Georgia is a 3.5-point favorite as they go on the road to Auburn at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. 46.5 Saturday at 7:30 on ABC.
And Georgia rebounded last week, beating the Wildcats by 3 scores after a home loss to Bama. Auburn's riding a 2-game losing streak, returns home after the bye week to face the Dogs. Auburn's got to do a better job protecting Jackson Arnold. He was sacked 14 times the last 2 weeks with losses to Oklahoma and A&M. That's not going to cut it here, and I don't think things are going to get much better for the Tigers, so I'm going to take Georgia here to win and cover.
Yeah, I like Georgia too. I'm surprised that it's this low. I don't really know what the fascination is, I guess, with Auburn. I mean, I know that with Hugh Freeze and Jackson Arnold, they're going to do really whatever they can on offense, but I don't think it's really going to matter. I think though I don't think Georgia's as good as they've been in the past few years, I still think they're good enough to cover 3.5 at Auburn. Number 15, Michigan's going on the road to USC. USC's a 2.5-point favorite at Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in LA. 57.5 over under Saturday at 7:30 on NBC.
This was a fun game last year. It should be again this time around, a battle of 2 4-1 squads. Michigan comes off a 14-point home win over the Badgers, hits the road to the Coliseum to take on the Trojans, who are coming off a bye after a tough road loss to Illinois. This one's probably going to be a shootout, but it's not an ideal matchup for a Michigan defense that can be pretty porous against the pass and heads up against Jaden Mariava, who's currently a top-rated passer in the conference. So I'm going to take USC here to win and cover at a close one.
Yeah, USC's really been rolling, and I don't trust Michigan's defense at all. So I do like USC to cover the 2.5 in this one. South Carolina is going on the road to number 11, LSU. LSU's an 8.5-point favorite at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. 44.5 over under Saturday at 7:45 on the SEC Network.
Gamecocks returning from a bye, but they've lost 2 of their last 3. Now they're heading to Death Valley for a night game against an LSU squad that's returning home after their own bye week and a 5-point loss against a really good Ole Miss team. Tiger offense has been struggling, but it looks like both Nussire and Caden Durham will be ready to go, so that should help. Gamecocks have a pretty rough schedule ahead as they hit the thick of their SEC schedule. Maybe LSU field goal late might push this one over the edge, but I'm going to take the Tigers here to win and cover.
Yeah, I really don't even think it's that. I don't think it's as close as that. Like, to me, LSU wins this like 14-17. I like LSU a lot this one. Part of it is I don't have a lot of trust in South Carolina either, though. But in LSU returning back home, I think is a big deal.
Yeah.
But I do think this goes over that. That 44.5 seems extremely low to me.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Number 18, BYU is a 1.5-point favorite as they go on the road to Arizona Stadium in Tucson, Arizona. 47.5 Saturday at 8 on the Deuce.
This is actually the toughest game this week for me to pick. Storm and Mormons are still undefeated after a 14-point win over West Virginia last week. Wildcats return home after their bounce-back win over Oklahoma State. Arizona's played well, especially at home this season. BYU's won the last 4 head-to-heads. They've got one of the better defenses in the country. The spread's so close. I keep going back and forth on this, but I'm going to go Soakers Wild here to win and cover.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way in this one. I like Arizona to win this outright, though. But like you said, it's a tough game to pick. I think this is going to be one of the better games. Thankfully, it's an 8 o'clock, not like an 11 o'clock like it typically is. So it'll be nice to get that one a little earlier. But yeah, I like Arizona to get the win, and Fafita, that'd probably be his biggest win of this season. And another huge game in the conference, number 21, Arizona State is going on the road to Utah. Utah's a 5.5-point favorite at Rice-Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City. 47.5 over under Saturday at 10:15 on ESPN.
Battle of solid 4-1 squads to wrap up the top 25 matchups here. Sun Devils coming off the bye hit the road to Rice Eccles after a 3-point win over a really good TCU team at home. Utes return home from their own bye after a bounce back win over the Mountaineers of West Virginia and Morgantown. Dilly got the W here last season, 27-19, and this is another tough pick, but I think it's going to be a close one. I'm going to roll with the Devils here plus the points.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the last ditch effort. If Arizona State loses this game, I'm afraid that they might not make the conference championship. So I think that they're going to be all in. I know it's an impossible place to go play and win, but I do like the experience and the depth of Arizona State to go in and get the win in Salt Lake City. So that wraps up the top 25. We got the Muncie 6-pack. Tomorrow night, Rutgers going on the road to Washington. Washington's a 10.5-point favorite at Husky Stadium in Seattle. 60.5 over under Friday at 9 p.m. on the One for Fun.
Yeah, Rutgers riding a 2-game skid after starting the season 3-0, coming off a 3-point loss to the Boat Rowers, while Huskies return home after a bounce-back win against Maryland after being kept out of the end zone the previous week by the Buckeyes. Rutgers won the last meeting in this 21-18, but Washington, I think, is a better team on both sides of the ball. They've been averaging a spread almost 20 in every win this year. I'm going to go Huskies to win and cover.
Yeah, I don't like the East Coast team traveling all the way across on a Friday night. I like Washington pretty easily in this one, to be honest. I like Washington to cover. UCLA is going on the road to Michigan State. Michigan State's an 8.5-point favorite at Spartan Stadium, 55.5 Saturday at noon on the Big Ten Network.
Bruins obviously coming off the huge win at home over Penn State last week where they put up almost 450 yards off the shoulders of big Jerry New on a really good defense, and now they get to go up against a much worse defense and team in Michigan State. Spartans return home after losing 2 straight to USC and Nebraska, and this is an early game for the Bruins, which makes me a little nervous, but I'm actually going to roll with UCLA here in the points to keep it close enough, if not get the outright win.
Yeah, that offensive change had Nico out there looking like goddamn, well, I guess not really Michael Vick. He looked more like Colin Kaepernick, actually.
He looked like old Nico.
Well, he looked like college Kaepernick because he's got that lengthy stride, and he was running all over the place. I don't think that's going to be the case this week. I think it's going to be back to reality. I think Michigan State wins and covers at home in this one. The Millennium Battle, best game we've ever seen known to man. Unfortunately, it was limited to the plus, but UMass, searching for their first win since the Civil War, is going on the road to face Kent State, which is also searching for their first win since probably the bombing of Japan. I don't know. It's been a long time since either of these teams have won games. Kent State somehow was labeled as the favorite, probably because they're the home team. So 2.5-point favorite at Dick Stadium in Kent, Ohio. 51.5 over under. Just bet the under. They could have set that at 24 and it probably would have been right. Saturday at 2:30 on the plus.
First and foremost, I love the fact they play at Dick's Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Second, I'm surprised this isn't on the CW instead of the plus. This seems like a perfect game for the CW. This is the assiest of ass bowl, right? We're going to keep this one short. UMass has scored 52 total points this season. If you remove the game where they played Bryant and lost, it's 26 points. Kent State's only scored 73, but they played Texas Tech, Florida State, and Oklahoma all on the road. We're going to get Kent State here, get a big win at home.
Yeah, like I said, I think the under is the safest bet. Honestly, if this goes over 51.5, I'm going to be shocked. I mean, I get your philosophy here. I think by default, by playing better competition, you kind of just have to go Kent State. I can't pick UMass to win, so I'll go Kent State minus 2.5 also. Northwestern is going on the road to, speaking of teams that suck, Penn State. Penn State's 22.5-point favorite at Beaver Stadium in University Park, 47.5 Saturday at 3:30 on the One for Fun.
I never thought we'd talk about a battle of 3 and 2 teams at this point, and that Penn State would be the one that's lost 2 straight, but here we are. Northwestern hits the road after home wins over UCLA and LA Monroe. Penn State returns to University Park after a shocking road loss to the Bruins. I think Franklin knows coming home he needs a win, and he needs a big win. So I'm going to take Penn State here to make a statement, returning home to try to get the monkey off his back. If he doesn't win this by 4 or 5 touchdowns, just start packing your bags, bro. He might need to start packing them already, but
I just wonder if they can beat anyone by that many points like that. I'm going to take Northwestern. I think that's too many points. Like Penn State should easily win this game, but 22.5. Like I haven't seen anything from Penn State and Drew Aller yet to make me say, oh, they should be able to kill anyone, especially when the over-under is just 47. Nebraska is a 6.5-point favorite as they go on the road to Maryland at SECU Stadium in College Park. 48.5 over-under Saturday at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network.
And two mid-level Big Ten teams here that need to win to stay in the race. Huskers got a bounce-back win over Michigan State at home last week after a 3-point home loss to Michigan. Maryland's looking to get back to winning after a 4-point loss at home against the Huskies. I think these are two pretty balanced teams, but I like the Terps to keep this close enough at home, so I'm going to take the points here.
Yeah, what a colossal failure by Maryland against Washington. They were up 20-0 and lost. I think that will change this week. I like Maryland. I think Maryland might actually just win this game outright, but I do like them to cover for sure. Ball State is going on the road to Western Michigan. Western Michigan's a 9.5-point favorite at Where's Waldo Stadium in Kalamazoo, Michigan. 43.5 over under Saturday at 3:30 on the plus.
Cards coming off the huge home win over the Bobcats of Ohio. Now they sit at 2-3. The Broncos of Western Michigan are riding a 3-game winning streak after getting blanked by Illinois back in mid-September. For the Cards to keep things rolling here, they're going to have to play clean things up, especially on the first down, minimize the chunk plays on the ground they're giving up on defense, force some turnovers, control the tempo. But if they could do that, it's an outright W. I'm taking the Terps here and the points to keep it close enough, and we might just talk about them here again in just a second.
Yeah, I was surprised by Ball State last week. I think that they can definitely cover the 9.5. That seems like a large line. I'm not really sure why Western Michigan. It's not like they're like one of the top teams of the MAC. So I do like Ball State to get the cover in this one.
Let's go. You never pick the boys. I love it.
Rarely. Usually when I do, they lose. So
it must be the flu meds.
TCU is a 1.5-point favorite going on the road to Kansas State. Bill Snyder Family Stadium in the Little Apple. 55.5 Saturday at 3:30 on Fox.
Yeah, TCU got their get-right game last week at home against a messy Colorado team. Kansas State dropped the heartbreaker after Baylor's Connor Hawkins hit that 53-yarder with just over 30 seconds left in last week's shootout in Waco. Not the first time a shootout in Waco has been discussed. Kansas State continues to be in games, but they keep losing the close games. Their last 3 losses, they combined by 10 points. This TCU defense isn't fantastic, but their passing offense is one of the best in the country with Hoover. I'm going to take TCU here minus the points.
Yeah, I like TCU in this one also. Kansas State is impossible to predict. Like, they started terrible, then they showed some really strong signs of life. Like, hey, this team's what we thought they might be. And then they kind of tampered off a little bit. So I like TCU to go on the road to Little Apple and win, even though that's a nearly impossible place to go win. So that will wrap up the Muncie 6-pack. It's now time to go into our locks of the week.
I'm usually lighting the SIG every week, but this time I'm going to roll with the Ducks here. Let's go with Puddles and Oregon to get the big win.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I like Oregon in this one also. I just don't think IU can go on the road and handle this environment. And if they can, IU might be the number 1 team in the nation. Like, for real, like this is a huge, huge test for them. It's kind of a prove it to us game, but I like Oregon at home in this one.
My dog of the week, I am going with the mighty Ball State Cardinals plus 260 versus Western Michigan. That's right. Love it.
My dog of the week, Arizona State at plus 172 going to Rice-Eccles Stadium, another impossible place typically to go win. But like I said, I think this one is their season. If they want to go to the conference championship, if they want to make the playoffs and get back to where they were last year, I think it's all going to depend on this week. So I will take Kenny Dillingham and the mighty Sun Devils. So that will wrap up the week 7 NCAA picks episode. We'll be back next week. I said, try to do a little bit more recap of beginning of the year picks and all that stuff and get more into it. But for Reese Downing, I'm Jacob Porkman. We will see you guys next week. Check out the NFL episode also. Goodbye.